Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fallen London. Today we're going to be carrying on with the exceptional story, Arcana. We are midway through having our cards read. We need to find ourselves the Insight of Roots, which makes me think we're going to have to go through the Two of Staves again. But we need an Insight of Gold, which we can get from an Age of Coins. Is there any of these we haven't done? I don't think we've applied pressure to the Rat Khan yet. Another name for the Wolf Khan, whose court is notoriously verminous. If the 5 noble clans have any point of weakness to exploit, then that weakness is the Rat Khan. His sons are malcontent, his daughters are treacherous, his advisors contradict him in open court, and even his assassins are undisciplined. His master of poisons is only too willing to talk, not that she has much to say. She tells you about certain compounds extracted from plants in the Khagan's garden, but she's never seen the garden. It must be in Khan's glory, but she doesn't know the location. It must be spacious, but Khan's glory doesn't have enough space for such a large plot. Interesting. Still need to get swords, right? Yep, we need swords. So we go to the 7 of Swords. And we haven't searched for crimson silk, I don't think. Sober, subterranean hues dominate Khaganian fashion. Warm colours are rarities. Blue brocade, black silk, purple sleeves and indigo slippers. Wherever you look, people move like embroidered shadows, but there you spot a crimson caftan in the square of cedars. Nobody else is wearing such brilliant fabric. The storyteller in crimson is singing to a crowd. His voice rumbles, thrumming, doubled in his chest and throat. Wind, rain, rolling thunderheads. He fills the square with harmonies that open the sky in your memory. And then he steps aside after the performance. You follow him down labyrinthine alleys. "Through here," he says. He opens a tea shop window. "Good luck." Interesting. Now this should have given us access to the Two of Staves once again. So let's talk to the Khaganian ambassador. "They know," says the ambassador, "or they suspect. That's worse." He paces the disused parlour on the 2nd floor. White sheets cover the furniture. "I'll have to go back down there and pretend. No worse than bluffing the banded prince, I suppose. But here, take this. You need it more than I do." He tugs his necklace loose. A horse head amulet. "Don't contact me. I'll contact you. But let's get one thing straight. I'm not doing this for the year of the Serpent. I'd rather drink the Khagan's chamber pot. Steal a bottle, leave it. Either way, that's your prerogative. But that garden shouldn't exist. There's enough cruelty in the world." That gave us an insight of roots, which is what we needed. Ahahaha. Shrines of the deep blue heaven dot the Khanate. Whether you're in the sinking quarters or the cloistered heart of Khan's glory, you'll find an altar at which to pray. Rich and poor alike prostrate themselves. Blue priests kindle sapphire coals. Smoke rises towards blue lacquered domes like clouds drifting across remembered skies. We can offer libations to the deep blue heaven. 7 libations. 7 secret words, 7 keys to open 7 locks. You know which shrine to visit. You know which cups to pour. You know which sigils to draw when your offering pools in the basin, reflecting the blue dome above. When the great Khan left the 4th city, he led his forces to the Elder Continent. He fought. He failed to stake new claims. He sailed to the Salt Steppes instead, to the Black Rock where he founded the Khanate. Now overgrown with waves, warehouses, palaces and parks, the black rock is hidden beneath the canals. But step into the basin when it drains, descend the spiral staircase that's revealed, you'll enter a great chamber carved into the rock itself, where a secret garden flourishes. Is it time to talk to the man again? Oh no. Okay, we have more stuff. The sun, the Ace of Cups, or the Ace of Staves? Let's start with the sun. Without light, nothing would grow, but even though you're underground, there's no shortage. Vast banks of electric bulbs, thousands, tens of thousands, or perhaps even hundreds of thousands, glow around the garden. Their filaments ablaze. They hum with power. Your ears buzz and your eyes burn from the crackling voltage. So we can either bask in the brilliance. How long has it been since you've seen so much light? Or we can smash the light bulbs, plunge this garden into darkness, and we're going to bask in brilliance. Praise the sun. This isn't gentle, friendly light. Stand too close to the bulbs and your flesh blisters, your sweat evaporates. The intense voltage could roast you alive, and the longer you keep your eyes open, the less you see. Details dissolve in the glare. Gardener could possibly tolerate such a temperature. Go to the Ace of Cups. The year of the Serpent is here. Unguarded bottles line racks on the walls for anyone to stroll right up to and drink. But these bottles aren't ancient and covered in dust, as one might expect from a vintage so old. In fact, the corks appear freshly stoppered. Has this Airag really been fermenting since the 4th city? Help myself. Might as well. Pop a cork, take a sip. There's nobody around to stop me. I could destroy them, but that seems terrible, doesn't it? Neither the gracious widow nor the noble clans will slake their thirst. That's mine. Delicious doesn't begin to describe it. Your taste buds fizz. Your sorrows melt. All your troubles are lifted away like fog struck by sunlight. Milky? Yes. Indescribably milky. Like the freshest cream, the richest cheese, the most unctuous butter. And alcoholic? Yes. Your throat could be a foundry. Your stomach could be a crucible. The serpent roils in your chest. You're drinking molten gold. You're also dewy and new as the dawn. For all you've lived, your life begins now. You can see the road ahead, the ages appended to your future, and your past is nothing in comparison. And then finally the Ace of Staves. If these plants are cultivated, what must wilderness entail? The Kargan's secret garden is more vine-strangled than a jungle, more humid than a hothouse, and more treacherous than the tiger-keeping fighting pits. Sealed since the 4th city, attendants rarely visit without losing a hand to the snapping fly traps. Ripe fruits hang just within reach. Let's eat the fruit. Avoid the thorns and pluck a piece, or we could poison the soil. You have indeed made comprehensive preparations, and now we're going to eat the fruit. You chew. You chew harder. You almost crack a tooth. These seeds are tougher than stones, and the flesh isn't yielding either. A few comparisons spring to mind. Sackcloth, shoe leather, rope. When you swallow a chunk, it goes down like a cannonball. This can't be the succulent fruit of legend, can it? Perhaps it's from the Elder Continent, but the Elder Continent is a continent with wildly diverse flora. Who knows if this species is even native to the mountain? If it has any rejuvenating effects, you don't feel them. Perhaps because your stomach could more easily digest pebbles. Let's speak to the croupier. So you'll drink the Year of the Serpent, huh? Leave the other bottles nice and snug in their racks, asks the thirsty croupier. I guess you could smash the rest when you're done drinking, or maybe steal a few. Wait, never mind. You couldn't. He lays down another card. You won't have time. You won't be alone. Someone will catch you. Someone who lives in the garden. The Kargan doesn't post guards because there's no need. Not just because the gate is sealed, although that's a factor. Without the ambassador's help, you'll never open it. No, the Kargan doesn't post guards because the gardener is dangerous enough. Uh-oh. The Page of Cups. It's not a human, not a serpent, it's not a clay man or a rubbery man, or any creature you've seen before. But it's wearing a straw hat, gardening gloves. At least, it's wearing gloves on two appendages, the others are fleshy stumps. There are many others. It burrows through the soil. It rises, shackled, eyeless at your side, and it keeps rising. Servant and Cupbearer, the Page of Cups, also known as the Sacristan. The College of Morality might not rule the Fifth City, but it takes an interest. Just as it took an interest in the Fourth, the Third, the Second, and the First. To monitor each city, the College dispatches spies. They're typically crushed when the next city falls, but the Fourth City managed to capture one. It still survives, across the Zee, in a prison of black rock beneath the Carnet. Now it tends the garden. Who better? It continues to rise, uncoiling higher until it stretches over your head. It could keep rising. Even more of its body is buried underground. Quite a lot more. All around the garden, the soil churns as though filled with worms. But there's only one, says the thirsty croupier, and it's no worm. What's my plan now? A 10 of coins. Ages ago, when the trees were saplings, the true Khan himself sat in this garden. His astrologers and advisors surrounded him. His loyal Dashans lay at his feet. His predecessor's daughter knelt and took his hand and begged a boon. The gardener, shackled and staked to the ground, would provide every resource for her greatest recipe. Financial security, dynastic power, abundance. Today, the gracious widow is a persona non grata in many Karganian households, says the thirsty croupier. But her bargain with the Leopard Khan dates from an ancient pact. Her knowledge, his garden, their Airag. As an investment, it might have soured. It didn't. Year after year, the Sacristan has toiled, and year after year, the garden has grown. So has its value, its worth a fortune. The stone pigs can stir, the sixth city can fall. Locked away like money in a vault, this garden is the Leopard clan's insurance policy, and the widow's leverage. The 10 of Swords. How many needles were plunged into this creature's skin? How much ink was required to tattoo these sigils? Hypnotic glyphs cover its body. Their meanings burn into your mind. I am eternal, and yet my reign is circumscribed by law and fate. The gardener twists, uprooting more coils from the earth. Coils speared with countless blades. Let's interpret the card. Victimhood. Vanquishment. No fun getting stabbed in the back. The gardener has been twice tamed, says the thirsty croupier. First by the College of Morality in Nida, and then by the Great Khan's forces in the Fourth City. His warriors battled the beast. They drove 10,000 swords into its back. His priests shackled and bent its mind to serve the Great Khan's court. Its body is still riddled with their blades, its throat still pinched by an iron collar. It lives in constant agony, obedient to its new master. And we have the 10 of Staves. With golden shears, the gardener prunes a branch. With a golden spade, the gardener digs little holes and sprinkles seeds inside, plucking fruit with its gloved hands, if one could call them hands. The gardener deposits the fruit into a wicker basket, which it carries with the handle hooked over an elbow, or something jointed like an elbow. Overburdened, weighed down with duty. And there's the arboreal element too. Nida sits on the mountain of light, says the Thirsty Croupier. At the mountain's heart, the garden grows, but gardens aren't jungles. They need gardeners. Wilderness versus cultivation, that's the distinction, and the garden requires a very particular type of gardener. One who can manage eternally blooming plants, one who can tolerate direct exposure to the mountain's divinity, and one who was born in the light. The Kargan's garden isn't the garden, but the Great Khan brought seeds from the Elder Continent. Only the sacristan can tend to them. Let's interpret the full spread. Now I see the full picture, says the Thirsty Croupier. The year of the Serpent is not Airag. It doesn't take centuries to ferment. It takes centuries to digest. He lays down another card. And now you see it too. You see the sacristan pluck fruit from a golden burrow. You see it swallow the fruit. You see the fruit pass slowly through its throat, through a maze of stomachs and through leagues of intestinal rope. Finally, after 600 years, the sacristan will fill the bottle. But when you're in the garden together, it will attack. Uh-oh. The 5 of Staves, 7 of Staves, and the 8 of Staves. Uh-oh. Let's go with the 5 of Staves. Chaos. Chaos, warfare, a pitched battle, says the Thirsty Croupier. Between the interloper and the Page of Cups, presumably. But the Knight of Swords might be involved. And all the king's horses, so to speak. Not many horses in the Khanate. They've got water taxis. They've also got lots and lots of mounted artillery. Well, let's throw ourselves into the fray. If someone wants to start a fight, you know how to finish it. It's underground. It's in the walls. It's everywhere. Is this gardener just a gigantic intestinal tract? An intestinal tract with a little straw hat? You slip and dodge through loops and tubes. Digestive organs squirm in the soil, chained together by pulsing muscles. The sacristan raises a spade, drives it down, and hits a pitchfork. You've raided the garden shed. You repel the attack. Impressive footwork, says the Thirsty Croupier. The 7 of Staves? Someone's taking defensive measures? Someone else is trying to break through, says the Thirsty Croupier. The interloper is already inside, but there are always more layers, more locks to pick and more doors to open. They might be psychological. They might be physical. These barriers are deep-rooted. They run to the garden's heart. Let's slip through a gap here. Step lightly and try to avoid all those flailing coils. With every blow, the gardener bleeds. Not blood. Something milky white. Something with curdled clumps. Something that burns whatever it touches. Drops speckle the plants. They scream and wither. The soil sizzles. The sacristan wriggles, its wounds clotting and closing almost instantly. Stomach acid? Bile? Says the Thirsty Croupier. How lovely. and the 8 of staves. Movement through the air, says the Thirsty Croupier. Great change. Speedy change. Bullets? Possibly. Confetti? Unlikely. Flower petals? Well, recall the devil. She's still in play. Hellish principles gird the Ace of Staves and imprison the Page of Cups. If the garden's walls should come tumbling down, there might be more than gunfire. Let's scan the field of the battle. Peel your eyes, prepare to act, or react. The gardener's head rows left and right. It sniffs. Its eyes are gone, sockets skewered by twin sabres, but it could smell a butterfly 10 leagues away. And it smells you. More swords rise from the soil, ancient, rust-eaten, impaled in the creature's body. They clatter and clash as the gardener thrashes, whipping its coils around you on every side. You dance through the blades, you duck, leap and dodge. You parry a scimitar with a shovel. Quite impressive. Exploratory vines slither through the debris, branching towards the canals. They won't survive long, not without sufficient light, and not with the soldiers hacking them to bits. But they'll have plenty of time to strangle the Sunday service. Orchids will bloom along the wharves. The moon canal will run red, and the leopard Khan will issue a command. All the guns in Khan's glory will swivel on their posts. Boom, says the Thirsty Croupier. He lays down another card. Oh, death. What is immortality? Merely the boatsman's mercy? Even those with cider in their blood might find themselves floating down a dark river on a slow boat. They must hope the boatman will honour his promise and to steer away from the far shore. But if he should misplace his little black book, if his oars prove weaker than the undertow, we can clutch the ambassador's horsehead amulet. Some questions are better left unasked, some hypotheses better untested. Something convulses violently against your chest. You stagger as if a horse has kicked you. Your heart thuds, your blood pulses, your wounds sting, but you don't get a chance to test the boatman's loyalty to his schedule. With a surge of energy, you sit up against the rubble. You're surrounded by broken bottles and smashed light bulbs. The Carganian ambassador's amulet crumbles in your grip. The sacristan, pinned beneath the collapsed blue heaven, fumbles for a spade and starts to clumsily shovel cracked turquoise tiles. Maybe to free itself? Asks the croupier. Maybe just to clean up the mess. It's still bound in service, but you might change that. The gracious widow won't be pleased, says the Thirsty Croupier, but as long as the gardener stays shackled, you'll get her, Airag. The first batch took centuries to digest, so will the second, but it's almost done already. Sacristan has been eating fruit this whole time. Even if it stops eating, the Khanate will still have a steady supply. All that milk will keep trickling out, batch after batch, year after year. Serpent, stallion, scorpion, so we can break the 6th sacristan's bonds, liberate the gardener, cut off the Khanate's supply at its source, or we can leave the 6th sacristan imprisoned, uphold the widow's bargain, allow the gardener to produce future vintages. This is a bit of a strange one, because normally my initial reaction would be to free the imprisoned creature. But this would mean that the Khanate has a way to fight against Nida controlling immortality. And the only person who really loses here is London. But then if the gracious widow is importing it to London, then this stuff might start showing up in London too. I'm going to leave him imprisoned, I think. I also don't know where he's going to go, or what he's going to do. I could be releasing some horrendous creature that's going to rip apart the Khanate. Let's leave him imprisoned. I've hindered the liberation of night. Who saw that coming? I pity the poor beast, says the Carganian ambassador. If I had the skills to unshackle it myself, well, at least the secret's out. Others will come, others will fight. He unfurls a map of the eastern Untersee. There, it says, pointing to Khan's shadow. First the rebels, then London. A fleet from Nida is moving down Adam's Way as we speak. The Leopard Khan won't hold the Palace of Jade for much longer. Tonight was the spark to light the fuse. It's high time for a regime change. You huddle, the stern, shivering, bandaged and wrapped in a cloak. The vigilant navigator steers through shadowed canals, evading the Khanate searchlights. Let them look, says the ambassador. We got you in, we'll get you out. Slaps your shoulder as you sail into the darkness together. So that's that, says the Thirsty Croupier. He collects the tarot cards and stacks them back into his deck. He'll survive the bomb, he'll escape the Khanate, and the gardener, still trapped. The widow might maintain control, the College of Morality might launch an attack to recapture their missing servant. The political repercussions will be significant either way, but that's a subject for another reading. Sure, endorses interpretations. I'm only a humble mortal, and even gods can make mistakes, says the Thirsty Croupier. But the year of the Serpent is real. I'm 90% certain that I'm right about its source. Now that we know how it's made, the Dillman Club can plan accordingly. Around his townhouse, the gold starts to drain from the wallpaper. Gas lamps are less brilliant. Only a few coals are still smouldering in the fireplace. Cider doesn't last forever, only as long as your liver permits. Then you have to drink more. Keep it up and a person can develop a dependence. He pours himself another glass. Trust me, the withdrawal isn't fun. The epilogue, Arcana, will conclude this exceptional story. And here it is. It's Thursday again. Which is weird because I release these videos on Thursday. The Thirsty Croupier is hosting a little get-together, and you're invited. There won't be any tarot this time. No gazing into the future. He organises different card games each weeknight. Thursdays are reserved for bridge. Low stakes. Only a few players. If the regulars show up, however, there's someone you might want to meet. Drop in for a friendly game. They don't often have extra seats, but the false prophet can't make it tonight. An enlightened glazier curses. The card-counting tabby rakes coins across the table. The indebted deviless laughs and reaches for her purse. He works for the brass embassy, says the Thirsty Croupier, leaning over to whisper in your ear. Diplomatic point of contact for the Khanate. You know that I can hear you perfectly, says the deviless. If you're keen on Carganian politics, there's no need to whisper. Let's talk. Over the course of the evening, you learn more about the Eagle Khan's dreams and the Leopard Khan's nightmares than a brace of spies could root out in a month. And the year of the Serpent? Does she have any diplomatic opinions about that? She smiles, but doesn't reply. Instead, she turns to the Thirsty Croupier. You were right, she says. I will keep my eye on this one. And we finished this exceptional story. We got a Salt Steppe Atlas, a collection of maps, charts, and navigation logs in Carganian script, showing the eastern edge of the known Untersee. And a memory of a tale. One day I'll actually spend these on something. Nah. But that appears to be the end of this exceptional story. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, let me know what you think. Your comments are greatly appreciated. Did you make any different choices in that story? Did you destroy the garden? Did you free the sacristan? It'd be interesting to know how the story is different. Thank you again to the members of the channel and the coffee supporters. It really does mean the world to me. And as always, I'll see you next time.